Welcome to My Moon Time. In this recording, we do have some adult language. You may choose to want to listen with your headphones on. If so, now's the time. Hello, welcome. I have Pilar here with me today, and we have the opportunity to get to know Pilar and all her offerings a little bit more. So Pilar, do you want to introduce yourself and your practices and teachings?
Yeah. So my name's Pilar Chandler. I'm a holistic women's health specialist. I have a practice in Southern California in Costa Mesa, and I've been working with women in all stages of life with their reproductive and sexual health, from girls just starting their periods to women struggling with menstrual health or disorders or pelvic pain, to fertility, prenatal care, postpartum, menopause, kind of anything that can go on around your reproductive and sexual health. The methods I use are, I do a lot of body work. So we do a lot of abdominal and pelvic work to help realign things that may be out of place. I also use a lot of Ayurveda. I'm an Ayurvedic specialist. I'm an herbalist, so there's a lot of herbs involved, maybe topically or internally, or teas or elixirs or things like that. Um, yeah, we do. I kind of look at everybody in multiple aspects from all those backgrounds. We look structurally how things are going on in the body. We look at your lifestyle habits, how you're sleeping, eating, exercising, things like that. And then obviously, and then diet, we go deeper into that. And so we look at all different aspects of each person, and then treat from there. So it's not always just about herbs, or it's not always just about food and or whatever it might be. We kind of take a really holistic and comprehensive approach. Um, we moved and expanded our office, our physical space, last year. We've been here for a year. And so now I have other massage therapists and practitioners and acupuncturists and herbalists that work with me. And so we've been able to kind of broaden and expand in that way. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at today, and glad to, be here with you, Dana. I'm so excited.
Yay.
I love you, and I love what you've brought into the world. And so I'm really excited that we get a chance to hang out today and chat. So
Oh, thank you. Same with what you do and what you offer, and sharing you with the My Moon Time community. Um, I've known Pilar, I think it's been about, I'd say around 10 years now, through Nita and Nita's classes. And my teacher, Rie Katagiri, is close friends with you and co-teaches from time to time classes. So you are one of my in California, my go-to people for female health and wellness. Like anyone I talk to in LA that's like, I have, this menstrual problem, and I'm like, okay, you need to go to Pilar. You got to drive down to Orange County and you got to go to Pilar. But I'm so excited because you're watching you open this new wellness collective, and because I follow on your Instagram stories, of course, and post all the amazing offerings you have. So for people in England right now or New Zealand that want to connect and learn from you, because you have so much wisdom and knowledge, and you've been in practice for I think around 20 something
yeah,
years, like
yeah,
long time. Yeah.
20 something years.
Yeah, I remember Rie saying you started studying herbs right out of high school, and I'm like, oh, and I
Hmm.
can tell when I get your herbal formulas, I'm like, these are so good.
Oh,
These are
thanks.
so good. Yeah. Is there a component of this work that you love the most, or is it just kind of everything? What are some things that are like sparking joy for you?
Yeah, I there it kind of is everything. My daughter works with me now, which is exciting, but she's we call it bumpers. So she helps me kind of stay in the lane, because get super excited about creating formulas and and then I get really busy with clients, and I think it's my Gemini rising that keeps things like, oh, I got this idea and that idea, and so I always have a lot going on and a million ideas that I so it's nice to have someone help me, like, land the plane, stay focused. But as far as I know that I could, specialize even narrower, and work just with prenatal or postpartum or just with menopause or just with fertility. But to be honest, I, I know I could do that, but I really don't want to do that, because I really do appreciate and love working with women in all life stages. Um, and I kind of just let things happen. It usually comes in waves in my practice, so I might have an influx of fertility clients, and so then we're kind of juiced up about that, or postpartum or menopause or whatever it might be, and so we'll kind of get an influx of like 4 or 5 new clients that are working with a similar thing, and um so I kind of just let it, let the community kind of decide in that way. But yeah, I don't know. I think my favorite part is just helping women feel better, and kind of giving them the tools. We really, in so many ways for so long have been just dealt like the short end of the stick, and we have amazing, I mean, our bodies are miraculous. Our bodies do so many incredible things, like capable of so much. And there's so much wisdom and magic in these simple, seemingly simple, mundane, because we're doing, every woman's doing something like this every day. And there's so much wisdom and magic in these things that we just do every day, but we have been separated from that. And, sometimes shamed and suppressed and all of that, around these biological processes that are really magical, really spiritual, and really um, deep. And so I think overall, the thing that really gets me super excited is just helping kind of take those layers of shame and suppression and clouding and all of that away, and help each woman just be like, oh wow, this is so cool. And I um because I have my own process with my body, and each woman has their own gifts and wisdom and their process with it. And uh for me, it's just I want more of that, in the world. And so more women who are feeling embodied and connected with their cycle, and connected with their womb, and connected with their bodies, and in all that way, their pleasure and all of that is, to me, a huge key to, I don't know, balance in the world, world peace, whatever it would be, because it's not been that way for so long. So each time we can kind of, help tilt the scale a little bit more into that realm, I think we've got a better chance of, things feeling a little bit more balanced around here. So so yeah, I feel like I could pick even a smaller lane in my spectrum of care practice, but it's all of it. I kind of just want to meet each woman wherever she is and offer what I can for her.
That's
And it's just
all.
so cool
Yeah.
because we go through so many changes, I mean, in our bodies each month, and then through our, goddess willing, in our life we get to go through, so many different challenges or changes and transitions that bring so much more. So, you know that's, that's what
So
I'm
many
here for.
reasons.
Yeah, so many things.
That's so cool. Um, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to ask a little bit more because it might resonate with people listening to this. You did a really cute little impromptu Instagram live, and you were in your bleeding phase, and you're like, I don't know why I need to share this right now, but you were talking about, your cycle. And one of the things that I didn't know about you that I learned when you were sharing was that it sounded like previous in your life, years ago, you were having, I think, some sort of health menstrual related issues, and the doctors didn't know what was going on. And it was, I think, I don't remember if you said it was my abdominal massage or some sort of practices through the female wellness practices that help bring balance back into your life. And I wanted to ask you more about that and hear a little bit
Mhm.
on that journey, because I think a lot of women are the same way. Like they'll get these, I don't know, I don't feel right, or I have these sensations, and they go to the doctors a lot of times. Not that doctors aren't great, but they don't know. And they're
Yeah.
like, we'll be at the Mayo Clinic for 7 years, and they're like, maybe go see a hypnotherapist. Like, like,
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, my story and how I got to do my abdominal massage was because I did have undiagnosed pelvic pain. And I didn't have period pains. Like my periods, for the most part, every once in a while there would be a random one, but for the most part, they were pretty mild. I didn't have a lot of cramping. I didn't have like super heavy bleeding. So that part seemed fine. But I would have these weird random pelvic pain. And it was in my like left lower quadrant. Excuse me. And it would take me to my knees. It would be so painful. It was so scary. And I couldn't figure out what it was. Um, and, I would have the pain and then I would make an appointment to see somebody, but I wasn't having the pain when I went by the time I go in there. Because it would come and it would go. And so it was super unpredictable. And so this pain would come and it would go. And one time I even had it close to having a fever and another infection, just a different unassociated one. But it scared me enough that I went to the urgent care and I was like, I don't know, do I have an infection? Like what's going, like a deep infection? So I had had ultrasounds, I'd had CAT scans, I'd had MRIs, I had all of these scans done and nobody could find anything wrong with me. And I was just like, this can't be normal. Like, I don't understand what, I felt like so many women do, like no one's listening. They're not, but I'm like, this is not normal. This takes me to my knees. I've almost passed out. Like, what do you mean that's normal? Like, so, but all the tests showed nothing to speak of. And it wasn't until I was just having like a regular pap smear at Planned Parenthood, not even a doctor that I, knew. And she's going about the pelvic exam and she mentions offhanded, like, oh, looks like you have a tilted uterus. And I was like, what? Oh, no one had ever said that to me. And some little light bulb went on and I was like, wait a minute. And so I started to kind of put the pieces together that I'd never thought of before. And I had a red, excuse me, I'd known about Rosita Arvigo, and I think I was teaching massage therapy at the time, and one of my students gave me one of her books, Sastun. And so I was like super interested in it. It was so hard to find a therapist. I don't remember where I had to go. I think had to, I don't know where I had to go. I think I went to Portland to find a therapist, or maybe San Francisco. I don't know. I had to like take a trip, and then while I was on a trip, see somebody because they weren't a lot around, and it was maybe pre-Google too. So I don't remember.
oh,
Um, uh, so anyway, what I put together was that this pain was, when I was close to my period, I would tend towards constipation. So I would have a full bowel and my uterus was tilted to the left. And so right before your period and when you're on your period, your womb doubles in weight and size. It's normally about the size of your fist and weighs 4 ounces. And then right before your period and when you're on your period, it doubles in weight and size. So I have a full uterus, a full bowel, And that's what the pain was from. So then I would either go to the bathroom, start my period, and then I'd be fine. It wouldn't happen every month, but it would happen, so I started to put the pieces together, and then I had my abdominal work, and you know, worked on realigning my uterus and all of that, and then eventually did the trainings, found out how I could do the trainings, and added that piece in. But yeah, that's how I kind of discovered that. And for the doctors, they see tilted, displaced uterus every day, all day long. So to them, it's like, oh, that's normal. And I'm always repeating that it's like, no, it's common, but it's not normal. Yeah, it's every day. And no, they don't have a pill or a surgery for it, but there are things that you can do, and that's what I mean by when I'm doing an assessment and an initial with somebody, we look at structural. So we do body work on the table, and I'm palpating to see, like, where is your uterus, or how is the lymph in your body, or what's going on in the abdomen or in the pelvis. And that's a huge piece, because I'll meet women all the time that are like, gosh, I have these terrible periods, and I've cut all these foods out, and I'm taking all these herbs and nothing's changing. And I'm like, there's a structural component. There's totally a structural component. And there's a lot of body work traditions, cultures that have had body work in their just a part of their everyday regular life care, like in Ayurveda, like in traditional Mayan medicine, in um, you know, Thai massage, and so many cultures that where body work is a real, just seen as what you do to take care of your body. That this was just known. Your aunties and your grandma would have taught you how to take care of your belly and your tummy and your womb. And we don't have that as a culture in here in the States. And so we can create it, but for now you have to see practitioners. And I always teach everyone how to do this self-care protocol, so that it's not just in my hands. It's going to take forever if I'm the only one working on it. Like, we have to take our own responsibility for this, and things. So it's so I'm always teaching the self-care protocols too. And and then that's how it starts. So then you can teach it to your daughters and or your sisters and your friends and things like that. So that's my story with the pelvic pain, and how I found um, the Mayan abdominal massage. And I've done other trainings in abdominal massage too. There's different forms of there's visceral massage, there's Baral method, there's lots of different types of abdominal massage. And so one of the first ones I studied was that Mayan Arvigo Mayan abdominal massage. So. And it's just a really beautiful culture in that community too, because it's kind of more like a lineage where it was passed down from traditional teachers in Belize and in Central America. And so it's really held with a lot of reverence. It's beautiful.
Oh, I love it. I've had a good handful of my abdominal massages on me, and I treasure them. Like, it's, yeah, so grateful for that work. But I'm thankful for sharing your story. Like, I think the more each female or menstruating person shares their story, it helps each person know, okay, like, there are other options out there. It's not black and white, like, there's so much, people get very fixated on this black and white kind of doomsday. And it's like, take care of your soil, like, take care of your body, and then it can come back into balance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always tell, like when I'm doing Instagrams or whatever, and I know that I'm speaking to people out there that might not be able to directly work with me, like keep asking questions and keep looking. Like if you're not getting the answer, no one's helping you in with the practitioners that you're seeing. Maybe it's your gynecologist or your nurse practitioner or whatever. Like keep asking, ask your community. I mean, now we have access to so much with Google and Instagram and all of that. It's really easy to access a lot, but keep looking. Like if you're like, this isn't right and no one's helping me, like keep looking, because you will find something that can help
Yeah. I had a really bad experience with a gynecologist
you.
in Los Angeles. I asked my herbalist, his wife, I'm like, Ursula, who do you guys, because it's the herbal community, like, who do you go to a gynecologist? And I was 25 and I didn't know that when I made an appointment in Santa Monica at this, go to gynecologist, that they don't put you with the gynecologist, they put you with their assistants.
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness, such a crazy story. It kind of set me on this journey of really asking bigger questions. And this older woman, she was so programmed in fear and so programmed with that the female body is essentially not right. I could use other words of how she was, and she was like, kept trying. And I grew up always knowing, because I had severe dairy allergies when I was really little. So I had to like learn, how does the body work? What is this food I'm eating? Why am I having all these reactions? So I knew that the body knew how to heal itself. So when someone's trying to tell me, you need to take, birth control pills, and you need to take this vaccine, and otherwise you're going to die. Your body can't survive. And it's like, I left the office being like, okay. And then I was like, what was she telling me? Like, she had no idea. And so then I ran out. Somehow I got Tony Weschler's Taking Charge of Fertility book, and I started reading all this information. And I was like, okay, this makes sense. That woman has no idea what she was talking about. And, I think she must have grown up in a very religious family that believed the body was a sin and was programmed on that. But, so I know there's great gynecologists out there, but I kind of like tiptoe, cause I'm like, I had a really bad experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there are great solutions. And I'm so happy that, you're in practice with all of your amazing wisdom and offerings. And just for those listening, like, I know I've taken a workshop from Pilars in person, and it was like a full day workshop with another co-teacher, and it was all about like the yoni wellness. And you taught us so many things to this day that I keep sharing with girlfriends about, like, steaming and the yoni jade egg, how to help prevent prolapse and just have better orgasms and better health in that area. What else did we did so much in that class that I learned from you that I loved.
Yeah, that was a fun workshop. Yeah.
Um,
I just want to mention, because I think it's a piece that a lot of women don't realize, um, is that, for your pelvic exams, your well woman exams, your pap smears, you can see a midwife for that. You
oh, wow.
don't have to see a gynecologist. Now, accessibility with insurance and things like that is, I have no idea. It's obviously going to depend on the practitioner. But I will say, I've had both. I've had, pelvic exams with a gynecologist in the cold, feet in the stirrups, paper robe thing. And I've had pap smears with a midwife, and they are totally different. You're in a cozy room, warm. The midwife will explain everything to you. She let me put the speculum in. She explained everything. She, like, it was just night and day. And because there can be a lot of trauma around those exams. And you know if that is you, there are other ways um that you can do it. And like I said, as far as accessibility and insurance, I don't know the answer to that, but there are other people besides Planned Parenthood and besides your run-of-the-mill gynecologist. Like, if you're not liking what they keep pushing birth control and they keep pushing this and that, and you're not resonating, there are other people that can do those. And, pap smears are important. It is one of the only ways that we can check for HPV and cervical dysplasia and stuff like that. So, they're important. I don't remember what they're recommending as far as how often, but it's good
Yeah.
occasionally to have them done.
Well, thank you. That's great to know that there's other options. Yeah. Yeah. What else did I want to ask you today? Oh, is there any, I mean, you work with so many people. And again, I'm like gushing over your Instagram because you post so many great things on there all the time. And I always see like the little babies, that you
Mhm.
work with and stuff. But is there any like people that are coming to mind, clients that had an amazing experience working with you that you want to speak to or anything like that? I feel like we covered so many beautiful points. But if anything comes to mind that you were like, wow, this person came to me and they did, they kept showing up and this happened and it was pretty amazing to witness.
Oh, um, yeah, I guess, I don't know, kind of all the time, I guess. I got a notification the other day, um, that I helped someone get pregnant right after their first session with me. Um, I've helped women post miscarriage, healing womb trauma. Um, I'm not thinking of like one specific situation. Um,
Those are great. Just
yeah,
those.
or I don't do a whole lot of births each year. I am a birth doula and I do support women in birth. And that this last year was rough. I think maybe in one of those Instagrams that you were mentioning, I was talking about, my um one of my last periods, and it was rough. And like how sensitive beings we are. And just the nature of stress, how that can affect our periods. So but you can imagine being pregnant in these last couple years and how stressful that is, and like that's the opposite you want to have in your space and in your environment and in your sphere when you're pregnant. And so it was a rough year. I would say that for a lot of my birth clients. um but that being said, um being able to support with care, with some real deep care and nourishment, um made made the experiences better, at least. So I think something that really just stood out to me over this past year was how, I don't know, how touching those births were, because I know these women, are doing something that they've looked forward to for so long. These some of these pregnancies weren't easily earned. Some of them were they'd been working for them for a long time, and couldn't necessarily, because of COVID and because of all these things, were maybe not the births that they ideally would have wanted. um and so having facing those kind of challenges, but then meeting them with so much grace, and then ultimately feeling grounded and held to be able to navigate all those changes. And um I don't know, that just kind of really stands out to me as like this last year or something. Because I just feel for those clients. That was just it's been rough for all of us, and then to navigate something.
Worldwide. I have to
Yeah,
keep
right.
reminding myself and reminding people it's worldwide.
Yeah, yeah, for real. And like, babies are still coming. people are still getting pregnant and babies are still coming. All of that is not changing. Um, and so it's just really important to, I don't know, that just stood out to me as something that was remarkable over this past year of, and there's the resilience of women and how remarkable mothers really are, to be able to do it and know that there's a lot of shit going on out there, but like really hunkering in and doing their best to kind of maintain some, sense of safety and security and to be able to birth a being. So, so that, yeah. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I see a lot of really miraculous things happen all the time from, um, it's pretty cool to work in fertility, although I will say there are two sides to that hand. There's a lot of disappointment and a lot of heartache, but there's also a lot of joy and beauty in that. And, helping women navigate both, unexpected pregnancies and, and disappointments. It's not easy, but we we're capable of a lot. So kind of helping to navigate all of that has uh, been a joy and an honor, really. I'm ultimately just honored that I get to support so many people and feel blessed that people feel comfortable with me to put their bodies in my hands and share their stories and so much of their life and ask me to walk with them through those processes. And so ultimately I'm grateful every day when I get to come in and work with people. And so that
I love it. I love it. From my perspective, like you just have so much wisdom and knowledge to share for women. I'm kind of like, oh, it's fantastic. And trying to think in my mind right now to how to, explain or share to people watching this. Because, like when we're in it so many times, we don't think of what's different than anything else. But when someone's outside of you looking in like, oh my God, Pilar, you have so much wisdom and knowledge to, share with other women to help them have a juicy, healthy, balanced life. And then that just in themselves, that's right there, everything. Because as one woman or one female or one menstruating person takes care of themselves and shows up for themselves, like that, is everything. And then everyone else has the space to maybe take their own step to do that. And then we start, experiencing balance,
totally.
on the
Yeah,
earth.
and
And
shifting the culture. I do have that experience. There was a client I supported in her pregnancy and birth a couple years ago. And part of my doula offering is that when the postpartum visit, I bring all this food and these herbs, and we do a steam and a massage and a baby massage. That's what you see when I'm going to their house and doing that. Um, she took that and created a business out of it. So now she supports postpartum women and cooks for them and delivers food all over Orange County.
amazing.
Yeah, and I was just like, look how cool that is. And so
That
that's the part of like the shifting the culture, in in someone experiencing that and or seeing that and like I can offer that, I can do that, and even if it's just for a friend and whatever it might be, that's so important. But it is
yeah.
just it's shifting the culture and sharing in whatever way we can, and supporting. And it's I'm really lucky in a lot of ways. Um I became pregnant with my daughter at a really young age, and I was interested in natural healing and things like that. Yeah, right out of high school. I do credit my punk rock history in high school because I was super anti-establishment, and so I was just like, and somehow that kind of triggered into like, why would I go to the doctor? Like, what makes me think I trust them? It was totally that anti-establishment, anti whatever. I was kind of anti everything for a while there back when I was, in high school. And so it kind of triggered this interest in indigenous healing and traditional healing and all of that. And I was studying herbalism. I took a couple classes right out of high school. Um, and I do have indigenous heritage, Diné and Hopi on my mom's side. And so that summer I was really kind of diving into my traditional roots and learning about the herbs of the Southwest and things like that. Got pregnant that summer. And my partner grew up with a midwife for his mom. So it like never was discussed about. I didn't visit a hospital. I think I had one OB appointment and that freaked me out. I didn't like it. And so I just was really lucky. I was feel like the universe kind of just, like here. And then, you're going to go over here. And so, I never had to have a conversation with my partner about, he was like, well, obviously you're going to have a home birth. Like that's all he knew, and then his mom was the midwife. And so, we had a really beautiful birth, just family. And it really felt like, just natural, easy stuff. We lived with her. So, I was really blessed by like, I lived with my midwife. So I had all the books and all the resources right there. And then that kind of just triggered into what else, what else, what else. And that kind of started that path of, um, more and more. And I was always interested in birth work from that experience, from my home birth experience. Um, but I was a single mom, so it didn't work in our family dynamic to leave my baby to go be with someone else's baby. So I really kind of shelved that until she was older. But just along the way, kind of gathering skills and gathering knowledge and things to be able to help. And yeah, it's been a long road to the practice that I have today, but it's been just a constant road. And um, I do have a lot of people that ask me, like, well, where'd you go to school to learn this? And I'm like, I've been in school for like 25 years and I'm always taking classes. It's never done, um, and but it's been a lifetime of collecting things to bring in pieces where I'm like, this is missing, or whatever piece, like when I had that pelvic pain and I was like, I was already a body worker, I was teaching massage therapy, um but it was not specific like abdominal massage. And then having that experience was like, oh wow, we can affect and help in this other way, like just mind blown. So then gathering all that information and skill set. So it's yeah, I'm on a tangent and I forgot why why I started this thread. But it was, I think that there's so much information out there, and there's so many beautiful offerings, you know uh and there's so much that we can learn, and it's really about simplifying. If we really get down to it, like simplifying our life, simplifying our foods, simplifying our healthcare and things like that, into really like listening. And you have to simplify all that static and all of that external noise to even be able to listen. And that in its of itself is a process of simplification, doing less, how do I want to say, not being so spread thin, and not being so pulled in all these directions. And I feel like the overculture really wants us to do that. And really it's about nature, coming back to our roots, and feeling our bodies and understanding what they do and how they move and how they work. Um, and that's something that I really like to impart on women when we're doing ideally we learn about our bodies and our cycles when we're young, when we first start menstruating, because that will help us learn about pleasure and our bodies before we start sharing our bodies with other people and inviting them into that space. So we have that real understanding, and then that helps us know when we're ready, if we're ready to bring children into the world. And that understanding when you're pregnant and really being quiet and deep listening will help you with birth, will help you with motherhood, will help you understand, when you understand the processes of your body and how to look for things. They can be subtle. They're usually subtle before they get loud. And that's easier to address when things are subtle before things get real loud. You're going to be able to understand your child, and understand and read their body. And it's this whole thing that if, wherever you are on your development, um, learning about your body and understanding all of those processes is only going to give you so much. It's only going to give. It's only going to give. It's only going to give you more pleasure in your body, more understanding of your body, of your wisdom, um, and connect you with the earth and the moon and the tides and all of that. And I know that that might sound really like esoteric, but we are magical earth celestial beings, and we are that. So it's understanding that is, I think, also one thing that I want to say too is that when it feels really hard to take care of yourself, our culture's designed that way. Our culture is not designed for you to like take a nap. You've been doing a lot, like, maybe rest, or maybe don't pick up the phone right now, or don't, our culture is really designed to like, well, how come you haven't done this and this, and I did all this, and it's not designed. I always say it's not pro-life in that way. Like, it's not supportive of our life and of human life. It's supportive of consumerism and capitalism and all of that, which is different, and it's not exactly supportive for our human bodies. So when it feels hard, when you're just like, oh my god, why can't I cook the right foods, and why do I keep falling off the wagon, like, just know that it's not you. It's this huge thing, and just keep picking it back up again. I do the same thing. I fall off the wagon, I fuck up or eat chips for dinner or whatever. Like, I'm human too. I'm not perfect. And it's just about going back to it. But when it feels really hard, know that it's not about you not doing enough, that it's kind of designed that way. It's kind of designed to not be easy. It's kind of designed to just sit on the couch and numb out and whatever. It's like, it's designed to keep you in that loop. And so if it feels exhausting, it's okay. You can do it. Just do it when you feel a little bit better or more apt to it. But
Yeah. Things are shifting. Yeah.
totally, yeah.
I'm up right now. I'm kind of doing the digital nomad lifestyle, and I'm on Savi Island, north of Portland.
Oh,
And being in Oregon is very different from California, and it's been a really amazing experience. And so many people I've witnessed in Oregon are very much, they kind of flow more with nature. Like, a lot of people's business signs will be like, I'm usually here on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I may not be here. So it's a little bit more slower pace. I mean, it's a whole different state. So the energy is so different from California. It's like, but things are shifting. People, that whole way of how we used to do things for too long in the United States and maybe other countries, I think are slowly dissolving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is, there were some COVID blessings in that way where people were like, whoa, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought I had what I thought was security isn't security anymore. And I think, a lot of people are waking up to that, like, how do I want to live? Wait a minute, what have I created here?
Yeah. What are we doing? It helped people get out of that, wheel of, I have to go to work, that kind of like, you're trying to make your little milestones, but you're not fully awake to like, wait, what am I creating here? One of the pieces I want to touch back on that you were talking about of like really getting quiet and listening to grounding on earth and with the cosmos and the tides and stuff is you described for people really embodying joy in every moment, that bliss of when we're really in our own flow. It's you're getting to wake up every day and feel that joy and feel that gratitude and experience that. I think to me, that's everything. Like, every day waking up. And another thing I'm hearing common right now with clients is talking about being stressed out and anxious and all that stuff. And a key piece a family friend told me years ago when I was like starting college and I was freaking out about, I don't know what career I want to study. I'm so liberal arts person and dyslexic. So everything was hard and challenging. And my friend's dad said to me, he's like, Dana, what do you want to get up and do every day? What brings you joy every single day? What is it? That's what you want to spend your life doing. And it was, to this day, I'm like, that was some of the best information, because it really is, I look back at the app I created and like this type of stuff, connecting with women, emails. I love that. Dealing with bugs in the app and programmer stuff and coding, which is not like, I don't code. That's not my mind does not work that way. That drives me bananas. So it's kind of continuing to refine, how do I experience, that joy every day and that balance in my body? Because, when our bodies are really balanced and in flow, that vitality that comes in, you're just like, fuck, I feel good doing everything. Like, I don't even care if there's someone running around me yelling at me. Like, I just feel amazing, So that magic is really there when we, like you said, start getting quiet. And for me, it's this work that you are offering has made the biggest shifts in my life and my wellness. And it's another reason why I love what you offer. I've noticed there's such enthusiasm with people, with women getting into female wellness and understanding that there's a menstrual cycle, and there's fluctuations in hormones. But it's unfortunately, I've been witnessing kind of going in the opposite direction, where people are trying to make rules for the body, and you need to do this, and you can only do this now in this phase. And I'm like, okay, the body isn't that way. And it's not just, eat these foods and do this exercise. Like, you have a physical body. Like, please go find a practitioner who's trained and has like many years of experience and really see what's going on with your unique body. There's no set, just see clients when you're ovulating. What? What?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm hoping that was like a media marketing gizmo. Like, sometimes a practitioner will speak to something and someone who's writing an article will take it out of context and like blow it up and make it all fake. I'm like, I'm really hoping,
Yeah.
but that's apparently really common information lately, is like, women should only be seeing clients when they're ovulating. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, you're a little sparklier and shinier, but it's not the only thing you can do when you're, it's not the only time you can do that. I mean, I I have my own business and essentially I can make my own schedule, but not like, I'm still beholden to, some type of availability. And I, I've had that question before, like, well, what do you do, when I'm like guiding, like, okay, when you're on your period, like really try to rest and do things like that. Like, okay, I'm on my fourth day of my menstrual cycle today. I'm doing a Zoom call. Like, we're doing a video. Like, it's okay. I can do it. It's not about not doing those things, but taking it easy when you can take it easy. Rest, maybe instead of cooking all your meals while you're bleeding, like, you know, um, maybe cook extra when you have the energy for it so that you have freezer meals or ordering out or whatever. But like, what can you do to like make your life a little easier so that your output energy isn't as much? And yeah, in your ovulation phase, when you've got so much energy and you're super like sparkly and vibing and juicy, yeah, I mean, if you feel like it, maybe make extra videos to post, when you have that vibe going on. But you know life is life, and then if you have children, you still got to show up no matter where you are in your cycle. And those little guys are demanding. So they're like, we don't care if you're
Yeah.
cramping, like we need stuff. So it's, you know, those things are, it's good information. It's good to know like what's going on in your cycle and know what's best, and like plan if you can, but also know that like, that life happens. And maybe one day we could have a female cycle centered world where where we are more bleeding all at the same time, and we can kind of red tent and do that kind of luscious thing. But that's not the world we live in right now. I mean, maybe some people do, but that's not the world I live in right now.
Sat in meditation for a long time this past fall, looking at that whole concept of self-ice, because the information on the 4 cycles from some notable female wellness practitioners who've written books have really been taking it to the polar opposite, where they're kind of creating rules, like recompartmentalizing women's existence. And that I love, red tent, but there's a beautiful balance in life, because like babies are going to be born when they're born. So if you're bleeding and you're the midwife, and like
Totally.
I was working in restaurants for, most of my life. I love being with people and hospitality and parties and stuff, but in solid 10 years in LA. And in addition to doing this app, and I learned how to kind of navigate my energy levels while showing up at work 5 days a week, no matter what. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't able to like plan. My period kind of comes when my body is ready for it to. It's usually a 28-day, but like I'd have a set schedule at work. And so I just learned how to navigate and ride my own internal energy, and show up for myself. And that was great. And if we all red tented, and bled at the same time, I think with like the horses and the chickens and, all that other stuff, sure, you can get, other people that maybe aren't bleeding to do it. But I just think there's a beautiful balance, and it's that subtle shift of awareness of like giving ourselves space and like, how do I, like you said, take care of myself and turn inwards, but also show up.
Mhm.
Uh,
Totally. And that's, like what I say too. Like yeah, ideally start over the weekend, and so, or I don't have clients that day, but like that's not life. That's not how things really work. But you can manage your energy, and I do, I'm a little, I don't know how to explain it, but I just go a little quieter when I'm bleeding, or at least those first couple days, and just kind of, I manage things a little bit differently. And there's, yeah, there's a lot of like little tips and things like that you can do, that you can find, because it's, it is important. I think, what I'll say to that too is, our modern feminism, which I am forever grateful for, in the 60s and the 70s that came out. But I think what, the tweak and the twist, or the piece that was kind of missing, was it was kind of like this looking for equality with men, and having that, like, well, anything you can do, I can do. Bleeding, I don't have to stop, and I don't have to slow down, and I don't have to, you know change. And that's a little bit more where that, like, suppression of our natural cycles, I think, it was already suppressed, but then it was just like, oh yeah, we can just, I can wear a tampon every day and never look any different, and never have to, do anything different. And I feel like that needed to be tweaked a little bit. Like, yeah, I can do anything, but I don't want to, because I want to be quiet, and I want to rest, and I don't want to play tennis, and I don't want to do these other things, because my body really wants to be quiet and gentle.
Yeah.
Um, that might be different if I was a professional tennis player. Maybe it would be like, yeah, I've got a game, I've got a game. Um, but I think that that shift in, like, knowing that, like, okay, first of all, the conversation that we need to ask for equality is over. Like, well, it's not over, I guess. We do still have things that we still have
We
to
have
ask
to
for,
continue to show up, but to me, it's not asking, it's we're showing up and doing it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's
We don't
like,
take command, we are command.
yeah, it's like, it's not a question of, I don't see the equality in the other way. Like, I don't see men being able to birth children and nourish them from their bodies and do those things. Like, when you can show that you can do something equivalent to, then maybe. But that's not how, that's that we're equitable, but we don't have to prove it in that sense, where I'm not trying to make my body function like a male body. And that is the overarching, like, in our sexuality, and in the medical system, and in fitness, and in diet culture, and all of that is like this male body model. And I think, like, when we can start to recognize for ourselves that, like, that's not, how my body works, things will shift. I mean, most studies, whether it be on, like, something like the keto diet, or on medication, or on supplements, or anything like that, are not done on menstruating women. So,
Yeah.
like, our bodies are completely different. And that's, for many reasons they do it that way, because it can affect their fertility, and it can affect your menstrual cycle. And, like, we're different beings throughout that cycle. Our bodies are hormonally different throughout that 28-day cycle. So if you consider that when you're looking at studies or anything like that, that, like, know that, like, the amount of menstruating women that are participating in that study is so minor. And if it doesn't work for you, that's okay, because that's also, it maybe wasn't looked at for you. um, and just know that, like, a lot of that is just, it is based on a male body. And so we get to do our own research, and we get to do our own um, you know inner workings, and inner knowings, and inner guidance in that way. But yeah, it
There's
doesn't need to be compartmentalized. It can't.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some doctors I found through, I think Dave Asprey, the bulletproof coffee guy, he had like 4 different doctors that are doing just for the keto S stuff, that they're actually working with women in cycles of doing. And I think, if I remember correctly, a lot of them were doing menopause
Mm-hmm.
and like showing up. It was really inspirational for me to see that so many people, women now are, hey, we have a cycle, let's work with it, which is really cool. And, on the flip side for men, I mean, I've talked to countless captains of industry working at one of my restaurants about, oh yeah, because they'll ask me, what do I do when we're waiting on them. And I talked about the My Moon Time app that I created and the menstrual cycles. And maybe it's because I get very neutral and I can kind of sciencey, and they felt safe communicating, but it was so beautiful witnessing all these men speaking to how they were always just very fascinated by the menstrual cycle, and they wanted to connect more, and they felt like it was a club they weren't invited to. And they were often punished and shamed by their mothers and aunts and grandmothers, even asking anything. So there's so many layers to this. And if we really kind of go back, it's, us in Western civilizations, speaking English, the ruling parties, a few thousand years ago had some pretty interesting thought processes and, men.
Way to put it.
Oh my God. So, what the chainsaw was invented in 1726 to cut open a woman's pelvis for childbirth. I mean, when we look at, thank God we can speak other languages and learn wisdom from, traditional Chinese medicine in Asia and Ayurveda and Mayans and stuff that had these better medical systems. But even just the medical system we have now, I mean, I also am in gratitude because they had to come up against these very crazy religious people that were programmed to kill anything that wasn't, the religious concept of that day. So like, remember Charles Darwin, like he had to go through hell and back. I mean, technically it was Alfred Wallace that came up with the idea of Darwinism, but before Charles Darwin, and they decided to do it together because Darwin's dad was more connected. And like, I'm going to present this idea that everyone's going to want to kill me. And so it's such a fascinating balance I've witnessed that we're kind of flowing through, and I'm excited. At least I'm looking towards the excitement of the potential moving towards, because it's been
well,
wild.
we got it, right? Like, how do we get through the day and the times if we're not like this? For sure. Yeah, it is. It's exciting times. And and I think that, one thing I was thinking of, I was talking with a client the other day, because she was just like, oh, I think my daughter's gonna start her period soon, and like, how do I start talking about that? And I was just like, well, doesn't she see you? Like, like, first of all, you've been living with this little person for how many years? Like, invite them in. This is a natural body process. Like, let them see you. What does it look like? What does it look like to have blood in your pants? What does it look like to change your pad or rinse your underwear out? Or, because we know kids are, banging at the bathroom door. Just invite them in. Just make it like no big deal. And like, that's the start. And then of course, obviously you can talk about more things, but like, with these, with it doesn't have to be just your daughters. It can be your sons too, like little 3-year-olds, little boys. Uh my daughter has a little brother who, she hangs out with once in a while, and you know she was bleeding and he came in and he was like, what's that? And she's like, oh, well, here's what it is. You're 3 or 4 and this is what happens. This is my body. And he was like, oh, okay, cool, all right, huh. And it's just like, it's not, they don't, it doesn't have to be weird or scary. And the more that we just kind of share like these body processes, makes it easy. It makes it easier. And then it's not so foreign and scary and weird and strange. And I think that, it helps everybody. It just helps everybody. Like, I mean, I remember being, younger and in relationships, and like, I don't want to be ashamed. Like, it felt weird. Like, why should I be ashamed of this thing that happens to me? That happens to every female on the planet. Like, it's not a mystery. Every woman you see bleeds. And like, why do I have to be like, oh my God, I'm on my period? Like, no, like, yeah, I'm on my period. That's what's going on. If you see me with extra bags in my bag, or I have to go to the bathroom or whatever, like, that's what's going on in my life. And it's going to happen again. And I think just, kind of being a little more, just owning the process a little bit. I think for, the more that we can feel comfortable in it with ourselves, the easier it will be to be comfortable around other people with it, whether it's your family or your partners or your friends. And all of that. It just makes it easier. And you'll
Yeah.
inspire other people to be comfortable about it too. And so
Yeah.
it's a huge component.
I was really fortunate because I had such severe dairy allergies at a really young age, in a time when the 80s that nobody had dairy allergies, it seemed. And I had to study and eat healthy foods that I attribute it to that, I guess. But when I usually bleed, I go into that flowy Zen-like nirvana. Oh my God. I've always been able to share that experience with other people. And there, so many women have told me like, wait, what? That's possible? I'm like, yeah, like you can, to me, I don't know if you've had this experience, but like when I bleed a lot of times, it'll just feel like I'm I'm held flowing down a warm river, and just in the total zen where I'm just like, this feels fucking amazing. And like, I'm just completely neutral to the outside world, really reactive. I'm still able to communicate with people, but I'm just so happy within myself that, so I've always been grateful for that.
Yeah.
But I guess it's not that common yet, but I'm sure it'll become more and more,
Yeah. Yeah,
common.
that's beautiful. Yeah, I tend to get cozy. I want to snuggle and I get lovey and I want you to hold me and I want to hold you and I wish like want to be, so I get like that. And then before I might get irritated, but that's usually because I need to be doing less, you know. I need to be talking to less people and I need to be doing less. And if I am doing too much, I get, and then my period comes and I'm like, oh, okay, but we can snuggle now. Always like that. My partner's like, oh, okay. No, but bless
I
them. Bless them for holding us
love
in
it. I love it.
all our
Yeah.
incarnations, transitions.
Amazing. Well, I know you have more clients to get to today, so I don't want to keep you from them, but I wanted to ask, like, what's the best way for people to connect with you? I know you have products for sale. I have some of them listed on my Moon Times website.
Yeah. So we have two websites. Pilars Wellness Collective is the website for the practice and the Wellness Collective. And on that has you can put your email address in and get tied into our newsletter. And then our product line website is shri-alchemy.com. And on there, you'll find our herbal teas, our vaginal steams, elixirs, and all that good stuff. So,
Yay.
yeah. And then on Instagram, Pilar's Wellness Collective.
Okay, perfect. And for everyone listening, keep an eye, because Pilar has amazing classes. And I think you're going to be teaching more stuff online slowly over time
Yeah, we're working on that. It's been challenging. I really love the in-person. It's hard for me to transition, but it's okay. We can do that. And so that's where I'm kind of learning those platforms and how to do online courses and classes and more trainings and things like that. So that is on the schedule and coming up. So yeah, stay tuned.
So great. Yay.
Yeah,
Well, thank you so
Gina.
much for being here. And yeah.
Awesome. I love what you're doing and thank you for including me. I'm so grateful. I recommend your app all day long. It's my favorite app too. And so just keep doing all the awesome stuff. And so glad that we get to do this kind of thing. So
Yay.
yay.
All right.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you. Thank you. Please consult your licensed medical professional for any and all medical advice. The information contained here has not been evaluated by the FDA. This information is not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease and is provided for educational purposes only. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare providers with any questions you have regarding a medical condition and before undertaking any diet, supplement, exercise, or other health program.